What's up, Sports Wars? It's Jeremy coming to you with another video, and today, Joe Burrow caps greatest individual season in college football history with title win. Now, I was out of town when I was watching the national championship game, so I couldn't give a quick reaction, but I want to talk about Joe Burrow and the claims that he has the greatest individual season in college football history. How do I feel about that? I'm a big college football fan. I'm an Alabama fan, full disclosure. So, this is an interesting question. Now, I only judge players that I have seen. That's how I judge all players. So, when I say Michael Jordan's the greatest basketball player ever, that means Michael Jordan's the greatest player I've ever seen. I can't really go back and judge people like, Wilt Chamberlain and Bill Russell and Pistol Pete and all of these people. Michael Jordan's the greatest basketball player I've ever seen. Tom Brady is the greatest football player I've ever seen. Now, when you talk about college football, the greatest player, and I want to be clear, not season, but the greatest player I have ever seen in college football history is Tim Tebow. Now, if you want to talk about the best season, let's exclude Joe Burrow from this equation for a moment. The greatest individual season I have ever seen in college football history, by far, was Cam Newton at Auburn in 2010. Obviously, being an Alabama fan, it doesn't make me happy to say that, but it also, at the time, it doesn't make me happy to say that Tim Tebow was the best player I've ever seen either, because I hated Tim Tebow in college. But yeah, when it comes down to greatest individual season, Cam Newton 2010, and it's not close. Now, that means that we have to compare Joe Burrow's season that he just came off of with Cam Newton's in 2010. And ultimately, I am going to lean more on the Cam Newton side of this argument. I am not disputing what Joe Burrow did. I'm not disputing how great LSU is. But that's where the problem is for me, is that I do believe that Joe Burrow has an insanely great team around him. That way he can realize his full potential, and he does have a lot of talent, and he is very talented. But when you look at that 2010 team where Cam Newton won the Heisman and Auburn ultimately won the national championship, I don't think there was an NFL player on that offense outside of Cam Newton. And I watched Cam Newton all through that season because I watch Auburn closely. I watch all SEC schools closely, but especially Auburn, being an Alabama fan. And I got to tell you, what Cam Newton was able to do in 2010 with not a bad team. I mean, you're obviously an SEC football team. You have talent on the offensive side of the ball. But I believe Cam Newton did far more with far less than Joe Burrow did. If you want to look at the accomplishments of Joe Burrow, his numbers, the touchdowns, the yards, everything he's done, you can't deny that the numbers are there. You can't deny the resume of the teams that Joe Burrow defeated. He beat Alabama in Tuscaloosa. He beat Clemson, Ohio State. What was it, like 5 or 6 top 10 teams that LSU faced? But this LSU team it's a perfect storm for everything that they have. But as someone that watches college football, I'm sorry, but Cam Newton's 2010 season was just more impressive. And that is still the most incredible single individual accomplishment in the history of college football from a season standpoint. It's Cam Newton 2010 in Auburn. That's my argument. I'm not really even on the fence about it. No disrespect to Joe Burrow. What he's done is unbelievable, and LSU is probably the most accomplished individual team I've ever seen in one season. I would put this team against almost any team I've ever seen. But I wouldn't put Cam Newton's team against any team I've ever seen in 2010, because there was no team. It was Cam Newton literally putting that entire university on his back and winning the national championship. You go back to the Alabama-Auburn game of that year, and what was it, 24-0, I believe, at the half? Alabama was just destroying Auburn. And yeah, there were a couple of breaks, obviously, a couple of crazy things, but that always happens when an epic comeback happens. But Cam Newton made it happen, man. So Cam is still the holder of the greatest season in the history of college football. And I'm not sure it's going to be topped. I'm really not sure. Because if you go back again, he was the only NFL talent on that offense, if I'm not mistaken. But even if he wasn't the only one, they're few and far between, whereas Joe Burrow is dealing with NFL talent all over the field. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you very much for checking out this video. Subscribe to Sports Wars if you're new. We're going to have a lot of content coming your way, and we will talk to you later.
Hey, this is Jay with Geeks and Gamers with a special announcement. Over the past few years, several of us have been trying to complete a home that will house orphans and displaced children in the country of El Salvador. We were hoping that this home would be finished by the time Christmas rolled around in 2019. Unfortunately, we did not meet our goal to complete this home. Partnering with Jeremy and all of us here at Geeks and Gamers and with you, we are setting up a GoFundMe to raise some funds that hopefully will help us get closer to our goal in completing this home. We will use the money to hire professionals to check out the home and also pay for some educational costs for many of the children. This will help with the burden of those raising money, and more money can be put into this home to be completed. Me and several staff members from Geeks and Gamers will be traveling to El Salvador at the end of May that we can bring a significant amount of money to finish this project. We hope that you would want to partner with us in this as well. So please click on the link, read about it, and do the best that you can. Thank you so much.